Namaste. I'm Shira Cohen. I'm a yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and Ayurvedic wellness consultant. And today I'm still talking about the water element, just like last week. Last week was all about the physical aspect of the pelvis. So in Ayurveda and yoga, we say in the philosophy that this area is the water element. The legs are the earth. And here, the container, the bassine in France, is the pelvic area. So between the hips, the sitting bones, the legs. And the water element is that which flows. It's that which is free. It moves with ease. So when there's an obstacle or challenge, it doesn't try and break up against it. It flows around. It's about our willingness to let go and to move on. And it's reflected back in our life. So if you see that you have a hard time with obstacles and you try and bash against them or throw them out of the way, you're lacking the water element. And water, when it's flowing, when we have that feeling of joy, ease, delight, creativity, it's because water is well integrated in our system. And water is also the place where we hold, or the pelvic area is the place where we hold our emotions. And the original emotion of all of us is deep bliss, ananda. And from that springs every other emotion. When we have holding patterns in the pelvis, either due to muscles that are too tight, or tissues and muscles, ligaments that are too weak, or the bones are not integrated anymore because of the imbalances of the bigger tissues, the strong tissues such as muscles, it creates an instability, first of all, because this is the initiator of movement for our spine, for the whole upper body. It comes from the pelvis. If you hold the pelvis very tight, the lower back isn't going to move very much. Yes, the head will, and the mid body, but not the very pelvis. So this developmentally, when we were babies, the first thing we did when we started to distinguish ourselves from our caretaker was move. We crawled, we lifted ourselves up, and that's from this area. That's where these two curves started to form, was our lumbar curve and our neck cervical curve. These started to arrive when we started to explore the world and find things interesting and dare to do our own thing. And from that, we gained pleasure, we gained spontaneity, a little bit trust in ourselves, and the delight to live, to understand that separateness has a fun side. So what is all about fun, playfulness, pleasure? And a lot of us don't seem to have that in an integrated way. Either we're hedonistic, or we feel guilty when we have pleasure, or allow ourselves to be sensual. So a healthy water element is by able to accept ourselves, to approve ourselves. When the element of water is out of balance, we can be controlling, manipulative, rigid. We like to make sure everything goes how we want it to, because we don't allow the flow, we don't allow spontaneity. There's also a lot of lack of playfulness. We don't have a sense of freedom. And so we're always conscious, self-conscious, and critical. And so it's a painful thing, and there's guilt involved. So guilt is something from this area. Guilt is this feeling of not being good enough, not doing it right, and not being approved and accepted by others. So this comes from our pelvis. So pelvis is pretty important. Yeah, if you think about this, when we love to dance, it's because there's a freedom here, and it's pleasurable. We love to move those hips. So a way that we can heal whatever emotions are blocked is to start with the body first, just being body aware and lying down before, for example, or even just sitting here and breathing in and seeing if you can breathe into the pelvis. Can you feel the pelvis moving as you breathe in and out? Can you feel those pelvic floor muscles? And if you can't, that's okay. Just know that you probably haven't got a very strong connection to the water element, to your sense of playfulness. And just come back to that space again and again and allow yourself to feel, breathe into it, Notice if you have tension there. Notice if you have this kind of just letting it all hang out, because that's another pattern, is not holding, not containing. And like I said in French, it's la bassine, ça tient the water, it takes the water and holds it. So we want to create this beautiful container in our pelvis using our muscles, our ligaments, our bones, to integrate them so everything works well. It's flowing. The muscles are strong, but also know how to let go. And so therefore we can hold this joyful aspect of ourselves, and we can walk into any situation feeling that. So first we need to learn to let go of any holding patterns we have within the pelvis, the hips, the lower back, and the lower belly. And then once we start to feel, okay, we can relax there, then we can start to strengthen it. Not just with the Kegels, that's only one thing. There's so many movements we can do which can integrate this part. And then once we've strengthened that, we can let it flow again. We can do more flowing movements, bounce between, up and down, until we find like this sweet spot, the soft spot. And then that's when we feel integrity. That's when we feel a sense of creativity, joy, and playfulness. So get to know your pelvis. Please do relaxing kind of yoga where you lie down and just feel, become body aware, sense, move with the breath, let that flow, that ebb and flow, the waves of breathing to move in and out of the tissues of this area. And then start to find this wholeness, this integrity, and move from that place. Namaste. See you next time on Q&A Friday. Please send your questions to me and I will answer them. No problems. Thank you.